Kat.
Yes.
You said you have something over there you wanted to talk about.
I found a story that I think is really kind of interesting, and I'm curious to find out what you and Shindell both think on this.
All right, please.
So the Supreme Court in Connecticut ruled yesterday that state officials are not violating the rights of a 17-year-old girl by forcing her to undergo cancer chemotherapy that she does not want.
Oh, this story. Okay, I saw this headline. All right, what are the details here?
Okay, well, the decision came in the case of the girl who's known in the court documents only as Cassandra C.
Because she's a minor.
She's a minor. She's 17. She'll be 18 in September. She believes that she should be free to make her own medical decisions. The court feels that she can make her own medical decisions when she turns 18 in September. However, she, with the support of her mother, have been fighting against a 6-month course of chemotherapy. So the case is centered on whether or not the girl is mature enough to determine how to treat her Hodgkin's lymphoma. She was diagnosed with that in September. There are several other states that recognize what's called the mature minor doctrine, but the court ruled that her lawyers had the opportunity to prove her maturity during this juvenile court hearing in December, and that they failed to do so. So Cassandra currently is confined in a room at Connecticut's Children's Medical Center in Hartford, where she is being forced to undergo chemotherapy that doctors say would give her an 85% chance of survival, and that without it, that there's a nearly certain chance of death within 2 years. Now, the girl's mother has said that she wouldn't allow her daughter to die. The single mother said she and her daughter just want to seek alternative treatments that do not include putting the quote-unquote poison of chemotherapy into her daughter's body. The mother was quoted as saying, "This is her decision and her rights, which is what we are here fighting about. We should have choices about what to do with our bodies." The mother and the lawyer said they're considering their next step after losing the case, but they do expect to go back to the trial court in an attempt to more fully explore the mature minor argument.
Wow.
So, what are your thoughts?
Okay, I think I have a thought on this. And I don't want this to be a blanket statement for every case like this.
Okay.
But in this case specifically, I believe, given the information that you've told me about this story, that they should not force her into chemotherapy.
Okay.
That it should be the family's decision. Now, here's some of the things that go into my mind. Number one is this is not just something that's being ignored. It's something they want to treat a different way.
Right.
Number two is she's 17, which makes her, while legally a minor, very, very close to being an adult, capable of making her own decisions.
Now, that depends on where you live. Did you know that I moved out from home a few weeks before my 18th birthday? I was 17, and they could not make me go back because I was 17.
Well, the point is that she's almost old enough to legally make those decisions for herself in this situation. And chemotherapy is in some ways controversial. And I've seen someone that I love go through, I've seen multiple people I love go through chemotherapy, seen the toll that it takes on a person's body, seen the changes it makes to a person's body. And I don't think you need to force that on somebody. So in this one particular case, I think that they can make their own choices.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm going to pose it to you two. Kat? Am I right on this, or what do you think?
Well, you and I have discussed, I think, off air before my thoughts on this, and if the situation were to ever arise where, God forbid, that I were to be diagnosed with cancer, I've told you I would not undergo chemotherapy and radiation.
Okay.
For the simple fact that it doesn't only target the sick cells, it targets that it doesn't care
I've seen
what it affects.
I've seen the wreck it can leave on a body.
Right. There are some alternatives that are being explored right now that look promising. And I think I would rather take my chances with exploring those alternative options rather than having myself be treated with chemotherapy and radiation. Now, it's a personal decision.
Right. And my personal decision would probably be the opposite. I would probably take the chemotherapy and that 80% success rate and stuff and go through the pain of it, as opposed to the experimental and new stuff.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that's right for everybody.
Correct. Now, that being said, this girl's 17. In my personal opinion, she's old enough to decide what she does with her body. I don't know laws in Connecticut, what the age of consent is in Connecticut. If the age of, say, sexual consent in Connecticut is 17, then why can't she be old enough to determine what else happens to her body?
Okay, I don't know what those...
Do you know what I'm saying? She's at 17, she's old enough to decide what goes into her body and what's done with it, in my opinion.
What about you, Shinda? What are your thoughts on this?
Kind of the same. I think that she should be able to make her own decision. I think everyone should be able to make their own decisions on their own body. But on the same side, she's only 17 years old, and they're saying that there's an 85% chance that she could survive. Looking on her like family's point of view, that would really hurt if like my sister had that same option and she chose not to. Yeah. Because it's like, you're going to leave the rest of us.
I agree.
So I can kind of see both sides of it. But I think forcing somebody to do something like that to your body is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with the decision, but I think they have the right to make it.
Right.
In my opinion. So I think that's the way I feel about that one, Kat.
All right.
And I'm sure people will call in an email and tell me why I'm wrong, which is fine. 888-454-KISS. But so I think we all kind of agree on this one. Now, where is it as it stands right now? Are they forcing it on her?
They are. It went to the Supreme Court in Connecticut because state officials were holding her. Here's the deal. When she didn't show up for a doctor's appointment, Child Welfare Services got involved. And they investigated, and then a trial court granted the agency temporary custody of this girl. So she was in temporary custody at a point in time of the Child Welfare Services. And then lawyers for she and her mother sought an injunction to prohibit medical treatment, but they weren't successful. So the treatments resumed on December 17th.
I think the intentions of the mother need to be, like, that's one thing I need to be sure is, like, in the right place. I want to make sure that, the mother is of sound mind and capable to make influential decisions like this for her daughter. But from what I've gathered from the story, that's my side, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
Kiss FM, hello, good morning.
Well, isn't it if her mother is on her side and the mother is the one that's capable of making her decisions, shouldn't it be that way because the mother is the guardian?
Not in Connecticut, at least, or not in this instance.
The state doesn't feel like the mother's decision is in the best interest of the child, basically.
That's just crazy.
The Child Welfare Agency officials says they're defending their treatment, saying that they have a responsibility to protect the girl's life.
Saying pretty much that the mother's not fit to make decisions for her own kid.
Apparently. They said it's a curable illness and that they'll continue to ensure that Cassandra receives the treatment she needs to become a healthy and happy adult.
That's just crazy.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Kiss FM, good morning.
Good morning.
What do you think?
Well, I just finished chemo, and I'm about halfway through radiation myself. And I'm only 36, and I have kids. But I will tell you, if I was ever diagnosed with cancer again, and they told me I was going to have to go through that again, I would not do it. I would bow out gracefully.
No kidding.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So is it just because of what it does to your body and the pain that it puts you through?
Yeah, it takes you to a breaking point mentally, and I mean, you hurt so bad. Everything is just depressing and awful. Food doesn't even appeal anymore.
Yeah.
It was probably the worst thing I've ever been through in my life, and I do not ever want to go through it again.
Well, hey, we wish you the best of health, and we hope that everything is okay with you.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Thanks so much for that feedback.
Thank you.
Kiss FM, good morning.
Yes, hello. I was calling in regards to the story of the young girl who's being forced to have chemo.
Yes.
I do not think that's right under any circumstances. I agree with the other lady. If she's old enough to consent to sex, then she should definitely be old enough to consent to her treatment.
But we don't know what I don't even know how sex got brought into this, but we don't know what the age of consent is in Connecticut. But we understand what you're saying, and we appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
One more thing.
Yeah.
The government doesn't force us to get immunization, so why can they force you on other health decisions?
Okay.
I don't have an answer to that, but I can tell you that the age of consent for sex in Connecticut is 16, which means that she's been able to determine what she does with her body for well over a year.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Kiss FM. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
What can we do for you? What do you have an opinion about this?
Yeah, I was just calling about the girl that's 17
Yes.
with cancer decision. My mom actually just finished chemo and radiation for breast cancer, and seeing like her mom went through radiation and chemo as well, and she actually died of cancer. So seeing my mom go through it, it's kind of, I mean, in my opinion, I wouldn't choose to have treatment either. I'll be 23, but like, how do you know the mom was on the same side? Like, she was helping her daughter, she wanted to make sure that her daughter could make her own decision, or if she was on the same side as the hospital, because she said she wasn't going to allow her daughter to die. So how do you know that mom's not, going after life insurance policies or anything like that? I mean, I don't think that she would, but
I don't know the answer to any of those things. And I only know what Kat told me about this story. And that's why I wanted to just isolate my thoughts to this one particular case. But I feel like as long as the mom's intentions are in the right spot, that should hold a lot of weight.
right. And I agree. Like I think that if they allow, I mean, if the mom's going to be in there to help make the decision with the daughter, that they definitely need to make sure that she's competent in the same way that the daughter would be if they allowed her to make the same decision.
That's what I'm mostly
on her
concerned
medical
about.
treatment.
I agree with that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Kiss FM. Good morning.
This is the way I see it. I mean, I'm a little bit older now, in my 30s, but whenever I was 17, and way before I turned 18, I'd say 6 months prior, I had the option to sign up for the United States Marine Corps. And if I had the ability to sign up for the United States Marine Corps, granted, I had to get my parents to sign off on it. Otherwise, I'd have to wait till I was 18. But it's one of those things where if I can sign up to serve my country and go, put my body through life or death situations, I should be able to have the right to choose my treatment. You know what I'm saying?
I understand your point. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. You have a good day.